Today I'm going to be talking about 5 Genesis games that made me a gamer. Let's get into it. Hey, how's it going, my friends? My name is Joshua and welcome back to the Nerd Life. This is going to be a video response to the Poor Man's Retro Game Room. A couple of weeks ago, he did a video talking about 5 Genesis games that made him a gamer, and it made me want to do the same. Now, I never had a Genesis as a kid, but I had a couple of friends and a cousin who had one, so I grew up playing a lot of Genesis games. But I'm just going to talk about my fondest memories with 5 games here, starting with Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, as some of you know, the second one is my favorite now as an adult, but when I was a kid, it was actually the first one I played the most. Every time I went to my cousin's house, me and him would take turns playing this game, and I think we made it. We got past Green Hill Zone pretty easy, but we barely made it past Marble Zone, and then we got into Spring Yard Zone, and yeah, we didn't make it far before we would get a game over and lose all our continues and have to start over from the very beginning. It was, but either way, we still had a lot of fun. Loved playing through Green Hill Zone. I think that one was my favorite zone in the game. Let me know in the comments what your favorite zone was in the first Sonic the Hedgehog game. Now moving on to the next game, and it is a game that I had to play behind my parents' back at the time because it was very controversial, and if they knew I was playing it, I probably would have been in a lot of trouble. But that game is Mortal Kombat. Now, as you know, they heavily censored Mortal Kombat on the SNES, but on the Genesis, if you put in a code, you could have all the blood and the fatalities and stuff like that. Which the first time I ever saw it, I remember just being blown away by the digitized characters. I was used to playing Street Fighter 2, so I was used to the cartoony characters, and seeing that, it just, like I said, it blew me away. And watching my friend play it at first, watching him do like fatalities, playing a Sub-Zero, he did the head rip with the spinal cord. And I just remember as a 10-year-old being like, wow, that's cool, as a typical 10-year-old would say. And he ended up getting a little frustrated playing through the one-player mode. He got to Goro, and Goro kept kicking his ass, so he got frustrated. And he's like, "You want to give?" He looked at me and asked if I wanted to give it a shot. So I said, "Sure," and I played it. And of course, I didn't get very far because I have never played it before. I didn't know what I was doing. But eventually me and him played some rounds with each other, or against each other. And of course he kicked my ass every time. But me and my friend, we had a lot of fun playing against each other in Mortal Kombat. So now the third game that I want to talk about is Streets of Rage. Now I played this at my cousin's house. Me and him would play together, and I just remember being really cool. Beat 'em up. It's what got me into the 16-bit beat 'em ups. But I just remember pressing a button and the camera panning back, and then this police car would come into frame with this guy popping up with a freaking rocket launcher and shooting it, and then it would come back. The camera would pan back to us, and then the rocket would hit the ground and explode and kill all the enemies on screen. I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. But yeah, it's just me and him had a lot of fun. We played through the game. We actually beat it a couple of times. But yeah, Streets of Rage was pretty fun, and I'm hoping to get that game in my collection. By the way, I had none of these games I have yet, so I'm talking about, but I'm eventually going to get. And the fourth game is another fighting game that me and my friend played together a lot, and that was Eternal Champions. Now this was a unique fighting game. I remember the special moves being hard to pull off, but I was butt masher at that time. And when it came to that game, he was too. He didn't really play it as much as he did Mortal Kombat or anything like that. But me and him, man, we played it, and we were both mud mashing. I won a couple of rounds. He won like a few more fights than I did. But I remember one time we was fighting on this stage where there's this like fire in the background, and I just remember we were fighting, and I did one final kick to knock him out. And instead of knocking him out, he went into the fire in the background and burned to a crisp. And I was like, whoa, that is cool. He's like, how'd you do that? I was like, I don't know, I just kicked you. But I found out later on, years later, that there's stuff in that game called overkills, where if you do a certain attack at a certain spot of the stage, you'll do like this really cool kill animation, whether it be the fire, or there's a stage where you can kick somebody into a fan and stuff like that. But it was just a really fun fighting game. Me and my friend had a lot of fun with it. Now, the final game that I want to talk about is a game that I played a lot at my cousin's house as well. If we weren't playing Sonic or Streets of Rage, I was playing this, and it is Shinobi 3. Now, I've never played any of the other Shinobi games, but I loved Shinobi 3 as a kid. I still love it as an adult. I played it about a year ago on one of those Genesis compilations. I unfortunately ended up deleting, but I didn't. Now they delisted a lot of those, so oh well. But anyways, I just remember playing Shinobi 3 with my, well, not with my cousin because he didn't really play it a whole lot. But if he wasn't playing Sonic, I was playing that, and just remember having fun slashing other ninjas. If I wasn't killing them with my sword, I was throwing daggers at them, and you can pick up other types of weapons and do like crazy wall jumps, and it's just like really, really cool. There's this horse riding level where you're on a horse. Just, man, I remember getting to like the 5th or 6th round before I would lose all my lives. But the game's not that difficult for me anyway. It wasn't not as difficult as other retro games that I've played, but it was a lot of fun. Like I said, if I wasn't playing Sonic with my cousin or Streets of Rage, it was Shinobi 3, and just so many great memories with that game. But that'll do it for today's video. Make sure to go over to Poor Man's Retro Game Rooms channel. Give him a subscribe. He has really cool content. He does a lot of retro gaming videos, or where he talks about retro video games. He has a really good channel. Highly recommend it. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Thank y'all so much for watching. Have an awesome day, my friends. Take care.